It's July 19th, and welcome to another edition of People Talk with Paul Lawrence. It's been a hell of a week. Leaving last weekend where we began a world, the word of the day was entanglement. And we saw a whole range of very strange occurrences take place over the last week. Some of the stuff that takes place around our sphere is what sort of informs why I do this show, and why I suspect a lot of the people who join me as guests on my show are happy to do so. And before we get cracking and reflecting on some of the guests that have joined me today, I just want to reflect on something which came into my vision over the week, and one more piece that dropped in this morning. So last week we had the appointing of Tony Sewell as the head of the CRE. And I, like many other people, found that a rather odd appointment. Not odd in the sense that I expected them to do better, but odd in the fact that if you're asking someone to be the head of the Committee for Racial Equality, then certainly them not accepting that institutional racism takes place and exists, that's a little bit odd for me. But to make the point, as if, Providence would have it so, the very next day, we have the situation where the AQA have to admit that one of their books, which has a picture depicting Black tribesmen boiling a white, obviously, explorer, was perhaps racist, and that it's something that they would have to withdraw, and they apologize for it. But let's be crystal clear. This is not the first time that the AQA have been told that something in their books was actually straightforward racist. This is not the first time that they have apologized for it and said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go through our material to make sure we have nothing more. Now, if we take them by their word, if we accept that they did go through and they did check stuff, what it means is that that book, the one that is now causing offense, was looked at and deemed acceptable. But now in the day of Black Lives Matter, suddenly it's not acceptable. If there's ever a case to justify the concept of institutional racism, that is such a case. Because they looked at it months, years ago, and I'll remember that the actual case they had, and they saw nothing wrong with it until today it is pointed out again. So for anybody at all, black, white, or in between, to say they do not recognize and they don't see institutional racism as a factor in race relations in the UK in 2020, they are short-sighted. And they certainly should not be in charge of any commission that is so to look at that. That's the Paul Lawrence opinion. And since I don't work for the BBC or LBC or anybody else, I can afford to be biased in my thinking. Yep. So we need to take a look at what's happening. A lot of these companies now jumping on the support Black bandwagon. We welcome your commerce. But don't be fooled. Don't think that we are not aware that you have had multiple opportunities in the past where you have been crystal clear that, racism matters to you, and you have not acted. And if you're listening to me today, then I would suggest to you that what you need to be doing right now is taking the action that you're going to be forced to take when we expose your racist activities. It just makes life so much easier for everybody else if we're just acting in a matter of balance. And before I really get into the show today, I just want to say this. We're not asking for preferential treatment. We're just asked to be treated on the same level. That's all we're asking for. We're not asking to buy us in preference. We're just asking, give us the same chance that you give to everybody else. That's all. So that's my whinge and moan for the day. And my guests have sat quite politely while I went through that. I don't know if they agree or disagree, but that's just my feeling for the day. Okay, look, guys, a great show ahead. And today what I wanted to do, I wanted to bring together people who run businesses that weren't necessarily what you might think of the first time you think of a Black business. Some of them are engaged in businesses which we know consist of what could only be considered a hostile environment. Some of them have been forethinkers in terms of what they're trying to do, in terms of innovation and the type of stuff that they're presenting, especially now that we see a certain type of Black business springing up everywhere. I'm fortunate enough to have somebody who started a Black business years ago, which fills the description of stuff which people are just now hanging on to. And if we're extremely lucky, one more gentleman should be joining us. He's a little bit late. I've sent him a message. We'll see what happens. So as we normally do, I'm going to ask my guests to introduce themselves in the order in which they joined me today. And so I'm going to start with a gentleman. And remember, people, you're all on mute, so you may want to unmute yourselves. With a gentleman named Junior Douglas from Dees Importers. Hi, Junior.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, you're a little bit low, but speak louder, please.
Okay, no problem. How you doing?
I'm very well, sir. Nice, and thank you so much for giving me your time today. I know you're a very busy man.
Okay, no problem.
Junior, you want to introduce yourself, please, and tell us a bit about Dees Importers?
Okay, my name is Junior Douglas. Our company is called Dees Imports. We've been going for just over 30 years. Based in East London, we import and distribute food primarily from the Caribbean. Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados are the main countries that we import from. And we distribute those products all over the country, nationwide, and occasionally to Europe as well. We supply the supermarkets, we supply the independent trade, we supply catering outlets. We also have agencies for a number of products that people might be familiar with. So for argument's sake, we do Walker's Wood seasonings, we handle those with agents for those. Ping syrups with agents for those, Shirley biscuits with agents for those, Portland seasonings, True Juice drinks with agents for those. And we also have our own brand out now called Dees Caribbean. So we handle quite a few nice products that we are able to get out and about all over the country.
Well, you know, when Junior says Shirley biscuit, I'm immediately 14 years old, running around Monk Street, Spanish Town, going to local corner shop for my lunch, and you know you have a Shirley biscuit because guess what, you can't afford the drink and the biscuit, but the biscuit filling and the water back home sweet.
Okay. Yeah. So as I said, we also do D&G drinks, so you can wash down the biscuit with the D&G soda as well.
Lord have mercy. Stop it, man. Stop it. All right, look, thank you so much. The next gentleman who's going to introduce himself has been on the show before. But again, I brought him back for a very specific reason. Dr. Carlton Brown.
Again, Paul, thank you for inviting me back today. It's really appreciated. So my name is Dr. Carlton Brown. I'm the founder of Marshall & Brown, and we are the purveyors of what we would like to regard as the finest Caribbean Jamaican foods. We have a range of sauces under a brand called the Jerk House. So we have jerk seasoning through to jerk Scotch bonnet pepper sauces through to jerk mustard sauce and barbecue. We also do Jamaican rum cakes. Again, the sauces are produced in Jamaica, and also the rum cakes are also produced in Jamaica as well. We also have a luxury range of handmade rum truffle chocolates. Again, but it's infused with Appleton rum. So everything has got provenance of Jamaica within it, as well as rum punch. And later on this year, we'll also have Blue Mountain coffee in the UK. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carlton. And my third guest, should be third or four, but we're still waiting on one, is Cato. Carol, you want to unmute yourself and introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, hi, Paul. I'm sorry about that. My computer's not working too well, so I'm trying to make sure that it lasts throughout the entire meeting. My name is Carol Cato, and I'm the founder of ShopNoir. We're an online marketplace. We're the first UK online Black-owned marketplace, and our products all our vendors are Black, and obviously we're selling lots of Black products there. We've been going since 2017, even though I've been testing it since about 2015. Before that, I was running the first Facebook group called Looking for a Black Business, and I can't find one. That was in 2011, I think it was. So that's me.
I think it's important for people to hear the dates that Carol was mentioning, because certainly over the last 2-3 weeks, the amount of black marketplaces, black business directories, black bits and pieces, and I'm going to come right back to Carol, in fact, that have been popping up. Whilst, I'm happy to see this, because obviously the more the merrier, I was wondering what someone like yourself, Carol, who I'm going to call you a pioneer, because at the time when you started ShopNoir, when you started that shop, I'd never seen anything like it. And, now I'm getting people saying to me, oh, this site is going to be the new black Amazon. That site's going to do the black this. What are your reflections on what you're seeing now? How do you feel about it? And how is ShopNoir responding to all this new stuff?
No, it's great to see other people doing that kind of work. It's funny. Yesterday, somebody else said to me, they went looking for Black Business Directory and found loads of business directory. And why don't people collaborate? And it's funny. My sister-in-law asked me about a week ago, can we start a Black Business Directory? I actually started a Black Business Directory in 2000 and maybe 11, 12. And I think I got rid of it around 2016 because I thought, there was lots more coming on and I wanted to go off and do other things. So, so I think it's always good, healthy competition. Right now, I'm working and collaborating with other people. We do seem to stay with the one things and we need to start looking at other areas to work in. Websites, you can pick up a website for at least 20 quid, 30 quid these days. So everyone's kind of jumping on the bandwagon. They keep on doing the same thing, and we need to start changing the sort of things that we're putting out there. I'm sure we could do more than just having directories and things like that.
Thanks, Carl. Julia, obviously because of stuff that's been in the certainly in the black news for the last, 5-6 years, your company is very, very much what I consider should be in a very high demand. Tell us how did you guys get into that business in the first place?
Basically, when we started, certain lines were not available in this country. So we started bringing up 1 and 2 lines, and it's grown from there. Back in the day, you could get the Encona Square bottled pepper sauce, and that was it. So we had a retail outlet, and we realized certain products that we were aware of were not available in the UK. We went and got them, and that's how it started.
And what sort of challenges would you say you found in starting up more or less, I'm going to suggest, from scratch?
Well, I think like all businesses, the main problem is finance. One of the main problems is finance. Another one is understanding of what running a business is, understanding of profit, loss, turnover, understanding of taxes, understanding of relationships, all them things that come with the experience that we don't have, because most of us started from scratch. So we're not standing on the shoulders of anybody. And we learn as we go along, and hopefully we can pass that information on as we grow. As we grow, the information grows that we can pass on.
Yeah, we've spoken on this program before about the value of not just liking and enjoying something. For example, the easy example to use is cooking, for example. It's not just enough just to enjoy that and think that makes you a business person. We've had this conversation before many times. Carlton, tell us what made you enter into the sphere that you're in, because this is what we're trying to get to. We're trying to see, as Carol said, what avenues there are for us widening the reach of black businesses. And if you can, share with us why you think having a wider base of black businesses is important.
So let me tackle the first part of your question. So why did I start? I think there's lots of, people like Junior, they're Trojans in what they've done. They were pioneers in terms of founding a wholesale business, which is national distribution, which is great. And there's lots of historical brands. He mentioned Decoder, lots of brands which have been around for a number of years. So I wanted to come into something and to try and innovate within the marketplace and do something slightly nuanced and slightly different in a more contemporary feel, and look to what we were trying to give to the marketplace. And secondly, I was looking to come into a market that was going to build something which is going to build a legacy. So that was really my rationale, my thinking. So part 2, why is it important that we have multifaceted and multiple businesses? Well, look, we have, the UK has circa 300 billion a year in terms of ethnic minority disposable income and expenditure. And we should support businesses that have the opportunity, which are there. If they've got a business, we should be able to try and support that business. Do we have the economic power to do so? So I think that's really important. I mean, as Junior said, you know, once you develop a business and you can see success, you can pass on that success and that knowledge. So I think that's the important thing. So if we develop, you have the empowerment. You're empowered when you have your own business. You're empowered to grow, employ, and to be autonomous in what you do. So I think that's really important. Why you should have your own viable, sustainable business.
Thanks, Carlton. Just for everyone, we've been joined by my fourth guest, Asari Sandhill. Asari, you want to unmute yourself and just introduce yourself, please?
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, Asari from Action Coach, business coach. Do a lot of other things, but for mainly talking about business today, we'll focus on the business side, and some of the other stuff might come up. So I've been working in business for the last 9 years, worked with a whole wide range of businesses, from startups, sole traders to multi-million-pound businesses. And so any aspects of business growth and development is what I work on. And I've got a franchise, so I know quite a lot about franchises and the support that you can get. And also it's a global franchise, so it's quite interesting to look at that. And I was actually looking at doing a franchise with a Caribbean company before the lockdown. And obviously the lockdown, we've just put it completely on hold because it was a food base. So there was no point launching that at that time. So we're going to come back to that one, but we can talk about some of the experiences.
Well, I think Asari, one of the reasons why I absolutely wanted/needed you on this call is so that we could talk, not necessarily specific about your business, but about the whole concept of franchises. Because, you know, the people I know who have engaged in franchises have reaped varying levels of rewards from it. And whilst I'm not saying to anybody the only way to start up a business is to start up as a franchise, I certainly want our listeners and the younger entrepreneurs among us to start to see franchises as an opportunity, as a great way. What would your words to a young person who has come across, I don't know, Franchise UK as a site to look at stuff? What's the advantages of starting up with a franchise?
Yeah, there's a lot of big advantages. I mean, the first thing is that a good franchise, you should always do your due diligence, never be too sure about any franchise. But generally, statistics speak for themselves. Franchise-based businesses, people who take on the franchise once it's been an established business, but take on a franchise, are far more likely to succeed in business than just businesses that just start from the cuff. You just try and do your own thing, even in the same industry. So you try a cleaning company, social care, restaurants, pizza, you name it, there's a franchise business for it, but you do it yourself. But the problem, you don't have a system. It's one of the biggest problems in business. You don't have a system, they don't have a head for numbers, and you don't have a marketing mechanism that is proven to bring customers to you. So what the benefit of a franchise is that you buy a ready-made product. They're saying, look, we've tried and tested this product or service in the market. It works. If you follow us and do it this way, we will show you how to get customers, how to your uniform, all the systems, the manuals, and everything's in place. If you follow us, you will get custom. And that is a fantastic way to start a business, rather than you start a business by, you don't have any sort of cash flow figures, no idea of how much you'll make, how much do I charge, does anybody want this, where should I set up, nobody to support you. You know how many business owners I coach? And they say, we did some videos this week, and one of the things they said was, what was the benefit of having a coach? And they said, you know what, doing this on your own is a nightmare. There's nobody to talk to. Sometimes you can't talk to your wife or your husband or your partner because they're not interested, or they just don't have a business knowledge, and nobody to give you any support when things start to get pressure as to how to handle it. And that's the thing with the franchise, is you should, with a good franchise, get support on how to cope with various questions and issues that you need to deal with. Even how to get a loan. Even getting a loan can be difficult, but when the franchise is backing you, because this is what we were looking at, I won't mention the names because it's confidential, but we were basically going to go to the banks and say, look, we have a business coach in place, we have a business plan, we have a cash flow forecast, we have a proven model. If we can vet people and get them on board, would you be willing to give them an X% loan, depending on what the upfront amount would have to be? And that would be a powerful position to say to somebody, look, if you take a franchise out with us, we've already got some banks lined up that will give you the money. If we say, yes, this person's good to go, you will get the money as long as you haven't got some major, cash problems in your own life. And that's a major advantage in a franchise, is basically it's more likely you're going to succeed.
Hi, Junior, over to you again. I'm just wondering, your business is not something I know much about. What are the sort of challenges that you face and you handle, obviously, in your business, importation and distribution?
Well, where do I start? Obviously, our business, as I said, we import and distribute products from the Caribbean throughout the UK. Supply is a problem in terms of getting regular, consistent supply. Cash flow is always a problem in terms of having sufficient monies to buy the products that we need. Staff is always a problem, to get staff that will stay on board with you and share your vision. I've been very fortunate in the years I'm doing my business is that most of the people who work with me stay with me. And they kind of listen to what I say and I listen to what they say, and we tend to go along the same path. Hence, we've been fairly modestly successful because, I've made some terrible mistakes, recovered from them and come back again, learning experience. But in terms of my advice to younger people, if you have an idea, go with it. And believe in it, put your heart and soul in it and try it. Better to try and fail than not to try at all.
Absolutely. Look, I had a business idea a couple of years ago called Jus-tickets, and my background is not in event management. My background is not in selling tickets online, and it was a hell of a learning curve. It took me quite a while to learn even the basics, and I wouldn't say that I'm anywhere near there, but seeking information, seeking help from others has certainly pushed us from where we began approaching 4 years ago to where we are now. And Carol, I wonder, because you're in a technology type of business, are there different sorts of challenges for technology-based businesses that you've encountered along the way?
Well, for me, I guess I'm quite lucky because I'm in IT, been in IT for 20 odd years, and now I'm in security, so it's really helped for my business. So I didn't find it that, I basically built ShopNoir by myself, and then the bits that I couldn't do, I got myself a developer. So you really got to know what you're doing. As I said, I bought my one off the shelf first because I thought, oh, I could do this. This is going to be easy. But then the really hard bits came about, but I actually knew who to get and I knew what to do. So you really need, if you're going to do something that needs technology, you need to find those people to help you, definitely.
Yeah, you see, that's almost my exact experience too, because for those who don't know, I'm in technology as well. And what I basically did with the first version of the website was I bought an off-the-shelf product as well. Yeah, and that off-the-shelf product was based on WordPress, and it did what it needed to do on the label. But then when I found out that I needed to do changes and I realized that the code was locked, I was snookered. Yeah, I remember one, I was going to say 1 week, but that would be a lie. For about 2 months, we had a problem on the site where it wasn't doing totals. It was charging everybody the right amount of money, but if people put 10 tickets at £15, it simply didn't show it. The brave souls who went on to press pay, they were charged the right amount, but many people were stopping. And that's when I had to go back to developers, and it took 3 months. 3 months, because as far as they were concerned, it can't have been their fault and the code was closed. So, as a person in the tech environment, it suddenly became very clear to me that I had to disengage myself from them if I was going to have any sort of freedom of doing stuff like that. But I want to get back to the key thing that we're talking about here today. Carlton, you're doing some research into bits and pieces about Black Pound. I don't want to preempt the outcome of your research, but I'd like you to speculate. I know you have a doctorate, so maybe speculation is not in your book, but I'm going to ask you to anyway. What do you speculate to be the sort of findings that you would expect to find from the research that you're embarked upon, even without adding any bias to your findings?
Okay. But some of the challenges which are coming through so far. One is access to finance is an inherent challenge. Now, second one, and that, when I say access to finance, is where to go to and how to get it. So, but initially, I think Asari made reference to it. If you don't have a sensible business plan, which is backed up by a financial plan, which shows your cash flow projection, your forecast on sales, and your levels of profitability, you can go to anybody, but they're not going to lend you money because they don't have any confidence in what you're doing or what you're saying. So access to finance is one of the key issues. Second one is social capital. We don't generally network with each other. We live in silos quite often. So we're not connected very much. So I should be able to go to Dees and say to Dees, look, I've got a product. This is what it looks like. Is this a sort of product or service you can take? And we should connect that way as a community. That's what we should try and do. We don't do that as well as we possibly should do, is one of the challenges we have. Thirdly, a big challenge is that there are inherent biases in access to the markets. So, but also we need to have personally as a plan, how we market ourselves has to be better in terms of our brand proposition. What's our USP? What are we delivering? We don't always want to just give a product which is a bit of a shabby label. There you go. We could put that in the market. No, we need to try and make sure that if we're delivering a product, it is substantive. It looks the part. It can go on the shelf. Any consumer will look at it and say, "I'd like to buy that because it's a great proposition." But quite often we let ourselves down. In some cases, I don't want to be too generalistic in this context. But one of the main reasons, Paul, is lack of knowledge sometimes about marketing and lack of knowledge around finance. Those are some of our two biggest challenges.
So Junior, tell me, when you started up Dees, you started going for it. Was it, buck your toe and learn as you go, or did you have a source that could help you out?
But it's have a nervous breakdown and learn as you go. Definitely buck your toe and learn as you go. Listen, I think the thing is, as I said before, we as Caribbean diaspora people, we come from a background where our parents came here. My parents came in the 50s. And their prime reason for coming to England and staying in England was that their children got an education because they never had one. And so their thing was, look, we're staying here, we're here because we want you to have what we never had, was an education, which is fantastic, and I value it, and I'm very happy to have received it. What they then were not aware of, because of their background, was in terms of finance, and how, as I've gotten older, you realize, you know what, money runs things. Money runs things. So whatever ambitions you may or may not have, if you do not have the finance to do it, it's not gonna happen. So we need to make sure that we build wealth. We create wealth, we build wealth. We are perceived as consumers. You wanna make money, make something to sell to Black people, because we're gonna buy it. Be it a shiny car or clothes or whatever, we don't own them brands. That's what we need to do, understand wealth creation and what it can do to lift you as a people. And that's where we have fallen down over the years and continue to fall down. Having said that, I'm very impressed by the younger generation coming up, because they seem to be aware of that situation and are developing the means of ownership, whatever they do. So you look at these UK rappers who are very successful, you find that they own football teams, basketball teams, they own all kinds of businesses that we never even heard of, and think, what, he bought that? Because they're using their brains now. They're not just getting the money and squandering the money. And this is where we have fallen down so often in the past. So in terms of my business now, what's important for us is that we maintain our good name, our good reputation, and we do business. I do business with anybody who pays me. All right? Black, white, green, blue, you got money, come and talk to me. Then we can do business. It's that simple. So when I go to the bank want to see the money. They don't want to know that I've read Malcolm X or that I know the philosophy of Marcus Garvey. Where's the money, Julian? And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. And then we can build on top of that, and who knows what we can achieve. But it's about building business and taking business seriously and not having expectations. Oh, I come and got to Dees because he's a black man. Not gonna squeeze. No, he ain't. No, he's not. It's business. It's business. We have to understand what business is. And that's where a lot of us fall down. We don't take this thing seriously enough.
See, what I find interesting is that, unlike the viewers, I can see all the other people on this call, and all I'm seeing is nodding. Yeah. And if I have this call 100 times with 100 different business people, that's what I see, nodding. The point Junior has raised, it's not revolutionary, and I'm not undermining the point. I'm making the point that we know. And when it's articulated as beautifully as Junior just did, we nod, we know. Why doesn't that translate into action? What is where's the delta? What's happening? Why intellectually we obviously go.
Can I just butt in a minute there and say, in my years of doing this business, I would say that I am increasingly selling to more and more Black-owned businesses. When I first started, I may have had 1 or 2 Black-owned businesses. We have over 500 customers on our books. When I first started, 1 and 2 were owned and operated by Black people. In the last 5, 6, 7 years, more and more Black people I'm supplying to who open a business and very successful.
Good.
Now we're in the food business, so I can talk about the food business, but a lot of them are opening catering outlets and running it properly. And a lot of them are looking to franchise their catering outlets. So this is where the other gentleman's abilities can come in as well. But I'm very confident that the years to come, we can see more and more growth of that. And these guys and women, a lot of women are running these businesses and they don't play. They're not playing. They're there. Some of them open 24 hours. Their restaurants open 24 hours because they take this thing very seriously. And those are the ones that we get along with fantastic.
But see,
understand business.
That's interesting because what it's doing is putting pay to this line that is constantly used that, oh, Black people can't do business, you know? And the reality of the matter is, and I think this is what we've really discovered, and I've mentioned this before, is that we don't talk about our successes. Yeah, when something goes wrong in a Black business, we're very quick to go on social media and make comments like, this is the last time I'll use a Black business, or a Black business disappointed me again. But the reality of the matter is, as you've rightly said, people are grafting, people are going out there, people are doing stuff. You know, Carol's had her stuff for years and it's building and growing. And when I looked at the site yesterday before she came on the call and I looked at it, I can see the development. I can see and I'm not saying it was bad before, but I'm saying I can see the massive improvement, the slickness of the site, the quality of the site. And I just wonder if, like Junior says, we're simply locked into an old dialogue, which is actually probably not even any more applicable, and certainly not applicable to our younger entrepreneurs who are really striking out. Carol, I wonder, you want to pitch in and say something here?
Yes, younger. I speak to a lot of young people now who want to get into business, and it's really exciting times. They're completely different to how we think. I have grandchildren who's on a different mindset to the rest of us, and I'm thinking, wow. I know they learnt off me, so that's cool. But yeah, they're really. I think they're really taking on this in a different way and looking at it a different way to how we did. But then when I look at my parents, for instance, my mother was an entrepreneur. She was in business. I had friends in business all before technology came and taken over, and they were good. You know, maybe they could have even spread even further if they had the internet, but they didn't have the internet back in those days. And a lot of from my family and stuff like that was more about properties and things like that. So they were, you know, people. I have properties, but I don't see it as a business. I just see it as something that I have. You know, and I think that's the same way with my parents and everybody else did. They never saw it because they still went out and did a 9-to-5 job. I think we can. I think our businesses are growing. We need to diverse. That we need to. This is a big world out here now that we're out of Brexit. I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, but maybe you should look even further. I'm speaking to people in Nigeria, I'm speaking to people in America, and all those places to collaborate with me so that we can build ShopNoir better than what it is now. And I think everyone could do that. This place is so wide. Technology has opened up so much for us to do, but we need to go with the ideas you have and run with it and see where it goes. You know, I did that. I took the chance. I still actually have a full-time job, but I do 300 and other things as well. But I love my job. I enjoy my job. Everyone's going, when are you going to retire? I don't think I'll ever retire from my job. But the thing is, I'm doing security now so that I can do it as a business when I've finished with what I'm doing. So, because I think that's another thing that we need to do. A lot of our companies don't have have security, you know, and that's so important for our websites and things that we are building up. I can go onto somebody's website right now and put it down within seconds. So we have to be very careful. We have to build businesses. We have to, you know, one of the things I wanted to do next was to have a security event so that black people with businesses can come and understand what they need to make their business grow even further. So if anybody wants to come and help me with that, I appreciate it. But yeah.
Well, I will absolutely step forward immediately to come help you with that, because guess what? I would expect such an event to be advertised and promoted via Jus-tickets. So I'm doing that, but also because I am in the technology space, and you are very, very right. One of the reasons why I have not left my 9-to-5 job is because I'm continuing to collect information about the IT consultancy, which I plan to open for my retirement in the Caribbean. Because at the end of the day, technology, everything is based on technology, and all businesses can benefit from the better use of technology. So yeah, we need to have a conversation about that. Asari, in terms of you probably meet and talk to more business people than most of us, yeah, because of the nature of what you do. What do you think is a major, I don't want to just say shortcoming, but I want to say in terms of our aversion to risk. What do you think? Is it simply we're adverse to risk, or is there something else that slows us down when it comes to making that leap and taking that opportunity to move into a business and probably move into that business effectively?
Yeah, I think there's two key things. I think the first thing is that we make the same mistake that most communities make initially, which is we go for the safe option, which is it's not a mistake to go for the safe option in terms of ethnically based businesses. And I just tried to write down the ones that I could think of: groceries, hairdressers, barbers, dances, takeaways, restaurants, nightclubs, and catering. Now, by the very nature of those businesses, they're ethnically based anyway, because if you want Chinese food, you want Chinese food. If you want, you know, people want within their ethnicity, the barbers, the hairdressers, whatever. So there's always going to be kind of like immigrants generally going into a country will supply those services for themselves because nobody else is going to do it. So you want your own food, your own groceries, etc. So there's always a market for that. And there's a lot of anger in our community when other people come into that space. We won't even go into that one, but we know that that's a frustration in our community, because those who got bigger tend to be the ones who are outside of our community. And that's very frustrating, because I remember Harlesden. I grew up in Harlesden, Northwest London, and we had Mi Amigos. Mi Amigos was the first hair product-based shop that I knew of. And when we look years later, we see Pax and all these other ones have emerged, and we think, well, I don't even know if Mi Amigos even exist anymore. What happened to them? But that was there in Harlesden from those very early days. So one of the things is moving beyond that. And this is where I do think the error is, that what other communities have successfully done is opening those ethnically based businesses and then move more mainstream and produce products that are mainstream. So for example, you go into a Indian restaurant and they'll have things on the list that are not what their parents would cook, not traditional Indian food, because they've adapted it for the English market. Chinese do the same. And in a lot of the Caribbean restaurants and takeaways, they're more doing it now. I find the better ones and the higher quality ones are doing this more. They're doing versions and they're being more experimental in the way they do food. So I think that's one of the things, because if you can organize a dance, you think of any of these things, if you can do catering for 200 people, you can do a dance for 200, 300, 400 outdoor events. If you can do all that, why can't you do it at Glastonbury? Why can't you do it at whatever? And I think that some of it is racism, But also I think some of it is the lack of vision to say, you know what, if I can do catering for a funeral in my community for 200 people, if I can do a wedding, a nice wedding, etc., why can't I do that at the Ritz? Why can't I do that at a nice other hotels outside of my community? Why can't I modify it slightly and do it for others? And I know people who are doing this, but we tend not to have that vision. Then the other aspect is the same problem we have in most small businesses, lack of systems. And the lack of systems means you come back to this emotional thing. Nobody can do it the way I do it. You know, nobody can do it like me. Look, my mom cooked the food this way. I can cook the food this way. Nobody can cook it like me. And you get into this trap where, how do you open your second branch? How do you expand this business if you have to cook all the food yourself? It's never going to get large. So it's moving beyond that and saying, look, I can systemize this business and make this into something. And we're beginning to see some of it. I mean, the Tasty African Food is an example of the first sign I've seen of a kind of a franchise model, or the beginning of the opportunity to have multiple branches, where they've already got, I think, 7, 8, 9 branches now. I don't know how big they've been hit by COVID, but they're another company I need to give them a ring. Actually, I contacted them because I saw their growth. I said, this is a company I want to work with. And so I think that there has been a shift, because I then wrote down others that I thought, actually, we've been a lot in these other areas, but not got big. Solicitors, accountants, will writing, surveyors, architects, cleaning, social care, IT, digital, property. But what I find is one of the things that held us back, I think, before, and it was mentioned earlier, was our parents said to us, get a good job, right, with a good pension and good situation. You know, that was the majority of Caribbean parents had that fear because of racism, because of what they went through, insecure work in the factories and so on. They said to us, look, if you can work for the post office, local council, NHS, you're going to get a good pension, you can get a job for life. And a lot of us copied that model. So I got into local authority for that reason. And then we get trapped there, where I see the Hindu community, for example, or many parts of some other communities, but I use the Hindu community because I grew up amongst them, that they would tell their children, go and get a professional job with a professional qualification, work for a few years, then open your own. So you become a dentist, a pharmacist, a doctor, a solicitor, whatever, but you've got the vision that I am only going to work for somebody else just to learn the basics, get my articles, get my basic stuff in place, but my vision is always going to open my own version of it. What we do is we go into the arts and lots of what I call qualifications that don't really lead to a professional job. And then you get trapped into, let me just go and work for the council. And then you're kind of in a trap. And even those who are professionals, like, as I said, the solicitors, accountants, surveyors, and some of these professionals, predominantly they work for the council and they didn't have the ambition to say, I'm going to open my own thing. And they couldn't see a vision. And I think that is changing. I agree with Carol that the young generation, though, they think completely different. They've got no way of thinking about go and get a job in the council because they've seen the insecurities. They've seen their parents get made redundant. They've seen people work hard and get nothing for it. And they've got a totally different mindset. And I find they're more open to opening businesses that they see just an opportunity. They're not worried about ethnicity and whatever. They're just looking at opportunity, like selling. My son telling me he's buying trainers for £180. I almost fall off my chair. That's the first thing.
So just like the boy.
He's only 16, but then he telling me he's selling them for £300. So then I said,
I'm sorry.
So then I said, now he's got the bug. So they've got a different mindset. They're constantly looking for opportunities in the market. Now, all they need, they're kind of like when Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture talk about the drug dealers and the gangs in the Crips in the 1980s, when he went and spoke to them and people said, don't speak to them. He said, no, they have discipline and organization. What they don't have is good direction and good morals, right? Now, with our community, we have these young people who have the attitude and the ideas. All we need to do is to work with these young people to educate them on basic business skills, and the rest they'll take care of themselves. We just need to give them that little bit of helping hand so they don't just go off and do crazy stuff because they'll get themselves into debts. They're high risk takers. But if we can give them that bit of solid foundation, I say to my sons now, if you listen to me, you'll be a millionaire. I guarantee you'll be a millionaire because I know what to do now, and they're starting off without the debt and the risk. if they do the right things, start investing in property and so on and doing these things, I can't see they won't be millionaires. But we just need to give them the structure to make that flourish.
Carlton, tell me. Well, go on, Carlton. You were going to say.
I was just about to say, well, this thing about us not being entrepreneurial, I don't subscribe to that. I think if you think about, my mum when she was growing up in Linstead in Jamaica. She was even from there in that moment. She was said, I used to get people from Linstead in the back of a truck, and I used to hire the truck out and take people up to Montego Bay for an excursion out for the day. There's a guy called Dr. Glenn Lehman who wrote a book, The Jamaican Entrepreneur. He says, look, we are natural entrepreneurs, either through necessity or through opportunity. I think that entrepreneurial spirit has always been with us. In fact, there was a survey done in the UK 2015, what said if you're a Black African, you're 35% more likely to start a business. If you're Black Caribbean, you're 28% more likely to start a business than your referent Caucasian other counterpart. So what I'm saying, entrepreneurship has always been within our community. How well we do it, that's a different question, because we don't always have access to finance, or we started, we got on the property ladder through the whole thing, like the partner or susu, whatever you want to call it. We did that. We were creative when we had to innovate in a place where we didn't have access to finance. We put our own almost a banking infrastructure together to create something in order to buy property and get on that ladder, because we needed to do that. So I don't necessarily subscribe to that view that we're not entrepreneurial, and it's not just young people who are entrepreneurial. Some of our parents have been that for generational. What we need to do is actually have a better understanding of the mechanics of how that's done, in terms of the marketing, the market research, who the consumer is, how do you sell to a customer, all of those things, managing finance, all of those things we need to do better. Agreed. But the thing is, we're at risk of being overgeneralizing. We can't just say this is what we do as a community. There's lots of successful Black-owned businesses in the UK, but quite often we just focus on this niche market around the catering, as Asari was saying about the food sector. Yes, we understand that, and the barbershop and etc. We get that, but actually there are lots of other different types of businesses which exist and are prospering, whether they're in construction or building, or they're in finance or in healthcare. There are lots of people prospering and doing very well. So we've got to be mindful we don't overgeneralize and denigrate our own community, and when actually there's quite a lot of good stuff going there. And there's an example there. There's Dees over there who's been found for 30 years. That's a great example of what we should be talking about. How do you sustain a business for 30 years? That is success in its own right. Okay, so I think we've got to be just mindful of our own narrative. That's what I'm saying.
No, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you anymore. I think often the narrative has been stuck on a few very basic, simplistic examples of what people may say is bad service or bad practice. And certainly what I'm trying to do, and I hope everybody else who knows me recognizes this, is try to shine a light on those businesses like the Dees, like the Marshall and Browns, like ShopNoir, like what Asari does. All of these things are examples of good practice. I wouldn't have someone, let's be crystal clear, and all the business related shows I've done in the past, V. Roberts, Comfort, all of these other people who've been on the show in the past have been examples of good business practice. I think I'll go even further, and I'll say that today's show, for example, I was called up by a guy, he runs Black History Walks, and he offered to sponsor today's show. Now, he could only do that because his business is strong, growing, and he's able to do so. And so, today's show, I'm happy to say, is sponsored. My first one. Sponsorship opportunities are available for anyone who is interested. Hey, look, it's a paid advert. My program. Stop laughing. I don't know what I laugh about. Yeah.
I said money run things. So
Thank you. Money run things. But the reality of the matter is that the fact that he felt, looking at today's lineup, that today was a great day for him to put that, because he came to me, demonstrates that he sees in the guys on this call something that means, look, I want to have myself associated with this. I think this is a good program for me to sponsor. And it goes back into what I've been saying on every opportunity. It's about us supporting the good that's around. And so, you know, we're 9 minutes from the hour, and I want to go back to Junior and ask Junior, aside from me going in and picking up a single Tina Aki, which I do every single week, and I focus on this one shop. I hear there's about to be a second shop in Thornton Heath, which I can do this. But there's one shop on the high street that sells Dees stuff, and I brush where everything else to find it. I want to talk bigger, because my one Tina Aki can't make the whole boat sail. What more could our listeners be doing to support Dees on a bigger scale, if that's what's required? And not just the black listeners, but I know there are lots of white folks, Asian folks who watch the program as well anyway. What is Dees looking for in terms of our support?
Well, in terms of support, generally, I can generalize now, because I think, yes, we focus on the niche products because we're familiar with the food that we cook and the food that we eat, so we tend to gravitate towards that first. I make no apology for that. But I think what has happened, listen, right now, my parents from Jamaica, I'm a Jamaican, we are cultural superstars. We set the standard, so everybody want to eat Jamaican food. So when we supply to Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda, it's not just Jamaicans picking them up, everybody picks them up. So what's important is that we promote our food in a fantastically positive way, in a professional way, right? And the service that we give is professional, and the response we get from our customers is also professional. Because some of our people come to us with an attitude that they don't go nowhere else with, which I quickly remind them about that. So we need to approach our customers in a professional manner, and they need to respond to us in a professional manner. That way we can all grow together. And as I said, what I found over the recent years is that the food is growing. My business, what we sell is growing. Everybody's buying it. We get inquiries from people for a pepper sauce in Cornwall, in Gretna Green, all over the place. People want Caribbean food.
And you have an inquiry right now coming into your inbox from a restaurant owner in Dubai.
Yeah, right. Oh, you're right. So we can ship to Dubai, no problem. So what I'm saying is that what's important is that, yes, we consolidate our business. We have the vision to look out. So that's what's very important. And we try and get the proper funding. We understand what money is. Basically, I said to you a while ago when I first spoke to you, is that as a black man that runs the business, there's no way I'm going to go to my bank manager and drive a better car than him. That's foolishness, right? You don't run up the overdraft to go and buy a Mercedes Benz, because the bank manager looking at that. Okay, when the review comes, we want our money back, and you wonder why. So these are things that you pick up as you go along. You learn how to get a good accountant. Look after your staff well, because your staff are your wealth. Look after your customers, because your customers are your wealth. Don't be greedy. Be realistic in your ambitions, and take time. And listen, most of the competitors, as you said, I work in a very harsh environment, which is extremely hard, extremely hostile, and I get licks every day. But most of these guys who throw licks at me, they've been going for 50, 60 years. These are not just fly-by-night companies. These are well-rooted, well-established businesses. So when they come to me with certain arguments, certain attitudes, I say, okay, no problem. And you take the lick and you live and learn and you grow yourself. What don't kill you make you stronger. So you grow yourself, and that's how you survive.
Yeah, you know what? 30 years speaks for itself. Carol, you've been quiet for a while. I just want to touch on, as we look to wrap up, talk to us a little bit more about what ShopNoir does, what it represents, and what's the sort of stuff we can find when we go there.
Well, ShopNoir is a marketplace for vendors as well as customers. But the vendors who I sort of started, when I started, I really was looking for people who had a business but didn't have a digital footprint. So the way that ShopNoir is built is that when you have your own shop, and you also have your own link with your shop's name on it. So you can actually take that link and send it to your friends, and they'll come straight to ShopNoir, but it will actually go into your shop with all your products. And the way we've advertised it as well, so if somebody just happened to pass and find your products, can find other people's products as well. So it's a bit like Amazon, similar to that. We're always looking for vendors. We're always looking for customers as well, obviously. We're at the moment collaborating, looking to collaborate with a few other people, because it's great having there's other business out there who may be starting. So instead of, I've been approached a few times, and so this time I've decided that I really want to do this now, to collaborate, because I want to concentrate, as I said earlier, I want to concentrate on my security side of things. And so I want to collaborate so that I can step back a bit so that other people can run it for me. But ShopNoir is doing really good, especially in this environment right now. And unfortunately, because of George Floyd died, this has happened. It's funny enough, I don't know if you remember, Paul, I actually started the first Buy Black weekends, 2000.
I remember.
2015. So seeing this all happen again, I'm going, wow, you know, I always have to remind people that we did that how many years ago. I try to be very, very innovative of lots of different ideas and things that I do. But yes, we really welcome anyone, and to get on ShopNoir, it's free as well. So any products you guys have out there you want to put on ShopNoir, please do, especially your food. What's your name of the food?
Marshall
and
Brown.
Marshall and Carlton, what do you sell?
We sell anything from rum cakes through to...
So we need you on ShopNoir as well. So you guys have no excuse. And if I don't see you at my door knocking down, it's free to join. And it's a very small percentage that we take. And we also advertise, we're starting to advertise.
We can negotiate on a percentage.
Sorry?
We can negotiate on a percentage.
Definitely.
Listen, I don't know which part of Jamaica Junior come from, but I saw.
Oh, by the way, I'm from Grenada.
I think it's Kingston, man. Listen,
he's been talking about Jamaica. I'm from Carriacou, Grenada, so I just got to lay it out there. So all my Carriacou people.
Absolutely, we're all Caribbean, darling. We're all Caribbean.
I know, sweetheart, but you know.
Look, Asari, yeah. Wrap us up, please.
Yeah, well, one of the things I want to say to people is go big, go bigger. I've been saying this to people all along. There's a guy called T. Harv Eker. He's a white American or Canadian, but he's all well known in America. And he's got the secrets of the millionaire mind in difficult times. And he did this in the last recession. So I tell everybody to get the audio book from that last recession and listen to it now, because it sounds like he's did it now. And one of the things he talks about, he says, don't worry about the economy, worry about your economy. He says the economy could be, the next door neighbor could be a millionaire, or the person on the other side could be unemployed, right? Worry about your economy. And what I've been saying to a lot of my clients all the way through this COVID is think big, think bigger, right? Don't worry about everybody else. Now, how many people can I coach in any 1 week? 20 people, 30 people? I could do group sessions that could get more, but I can only coach so many. So let's say there's 1 million businesses in London. How many am I looking for? So even if 500,000 businesses went broke, I've got another 500,000 to choose from to get those 20, right? So I'm getting people to think different, because one of the biggest things is also thinking different. We need to be willing to read business development books. So one of my big messages to people is move away from being the technician. This is a general point, but it's, I will say it in our community as well. And the E-Myth book is the first book I give everybody. In fact, I'll get a copy for you, because I always order loads of them, because I'm saying I'm getting new customers coming, so I need to order more. So I just ordered a few more copies of this. This is the E-Myth. And this book basically says there's a myth of an entrepreneur, that most people are technicians. You're good at something and you open a business in it, but instead of developing your business acumen, you spend another course and another course and another course being a good electrician, a good barber. Nobody is interested. Nobody cares how many courses you've been on. What they're interested in is your business skills, is what's going to grow your business. McDonald's isn't the #1 restaurant in the world because the food is good. It's the #1 restaurant in the world because they've got a great business model. And so one of my big messages to our community is to read more about business and personal development than read about your technical subject. Not saying don't keep up to date, but being the best, you know, having the best restaurant. I mean, how did it work for Ramsey and the other guy? You know, their restaurants shut down in the last.
Jamie Oliver.
Jamie Oliver. How many restaurants did he lose? So
work.
Being good at cooking is not going to be the key thing to success, because clearly I'm not doubting these guys can cook. So it's about how your business acumen. So that's why I say go big, go bigger. You know, 30x it. I'm launching a 30x program soon. It's with Brad Sugar's videos and stuff. But I'm saying to people, look, you can aim much higher. You know, Les Brown said most people, why they don't achieve what they want to achieve in life is not because they don't set goals, but because the goals are too low. See, if you set your goal to have a little house and a nice car and a family and go to Jamaica or the Caribbean once a year, you probably will achieve that. But if you set your thing to have a multi-million-pound business that's going to employ many of your own community, you're in a different mindset from the day one, what you're trying to achieve. And I think we have to, you know, get into our community to see we can go bigger. We can start to become multinationals. We can start to become those bigger businesses. You know, there was a little thing I was watching the other day. It said there's more than 400 billion plus turnover businesses in Africa. That's a major statistic that we got to get our head around. More than 400 multi-billion pound businesses in Africa. So the point is they're already there. We just have to look for them, copy them and do it. So I just think that's my message. Go big, go bigger and get help, collaborate. I'm looking to collaborate with as many people as possible. And a lot of the collaborations I'm looking at has got nothing to do with money. It's to do with, can we help each other to be better at what we do? You know, NOI have spoken to me about doing works with young people. I don't worry about money. I've just done a program with the Center for African Thought. I did 4 programs already. I never once asked for a penny. And at the end of the show, he said, what's your bank account? I'm going to send you something. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. But it's not about the money. It's about, can we help our community? If we can help our community, money will come from somewhere. But can we help each other? We've all got skills. If we can spend just a little bit of time helping each other, we can do that. And join BNI. That's the other one.
Junior, what's your final wrap-up statement?
Well, firstly, thank you for the invite. I don't usually do these kind of things. So, you know, many thanks. You're a convincing host. My final wrap-up is just to say to people, listen, you know, not everyone's cut out to be an entrepreneur. There's nothing wrong in having a powerful job with a good pension, all the rest of it. Some days I wish I had a pension and sick pay and holiday pay and all the rest of it. But, you know, I am where I am. I'm not ungrateful. I would just say, look, if you have a vision, follow it, believe in it, but don't be afraid to make a change. Don't be afraid to make a change. We live in a time now when it's lifelong learning. You know, my mum had a job when she started work to the day she died. It was the same job. That ain't gonna happen no more, right? So lifelong learning. Be ambitious and be adventurous. That's it, really.
Thank you. Carlton, what's your closing statement?
Well, I think for me, any business that you have, I think there are 4 key things. One, prior to going into any business, do your research, do your market research, understand about the consumer, understand about your market, understand about your competitors. So before you even take a step into the business, just try and understand what you're getting into. That's the first thing I would say. So once you do your research, the second thing I would say, have a strategy, have a marketing strategy, a financial strategy, have a plan, have a sales strategy, have a strategy about what you're going to do. Junior just said it, innovate. Don't be afraid to change. If things get difficult and you were going into one direction, sometimes things happen within that market that you need to innovate and change and adapt. So be flexible in that approach. And finally, take action. A lot of people live on someday island. You know, someday I'll do this or someday I'll do that. So actually, if you want to do something, take the action. Be affirmative in what you want to do, have that positive and growth mindset. So that's what I would argue. If you want to be successful in any business, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. It takes hard work. So as you say, you don't want to turn up in a Mercedes Benz and you got this challenge on your hands. You know, be focused, work at your business. It's a slow burn sometimes, but stay focused and committed to it.
Well, I'm glad I got rid of my Merc. Carol, last word goes to the lady. You guys must be battering Mercedes all day. I'm so glad I got rid of it.
Yeah, I got rid of mine as well, actually. I'm walking now. Just out of me.
All I said was, don't have a better car than a bank manager. That's all I said. That's all I said. Have a better car than a bank manager. You'll be upset. You'll be upset.
Carol.
As someone said earlier, try and collaborate. We have a lot of the same businesses, and we need to join together to join force so that you'll be a force to reckon with. there is a lot of good businesses out there, and there's a lot of people who's working on their own. And I think one of the most important, which I found out the hard way, is that marketing is the most important thing that you need to really think about, and how much it's going to cost. And sometimes people underestimate how much marketing is costing you. To really get your product in front of the people that you want to buy your products, you need to put a lot of money in it. So really do your sums before you start out, and really be realistic on your finance as well as your business plan, because you will come stuck if you don't. And that's it for me.
Thank you so much, guys. Look, I really want to thank you. For me, if I'm going to have a final statement on all of this, and I think that's what I need to do, is I think we need to start to think about legacy. I know Junior certainly used this word when he was speaking earlier. As a community, we need to start thinking bigger. As Asari said as well, we need to be thinking about legacy. We need to understand that, one-day events don't make a legacy. We need to be thinking bigger. We need to be thinking more strategically. We need to understand what really grows, not just an individual business, but what grows a community. And if that's what we're trying to do, then we need to look at the actions we've taken in the past, check and see if they have made the difference that we think they're supposed to make. And if they haven't, we need to start asking ourselves different questions. Yeah, this is not just about supporting a business or one business over there. This is about a strategic way of thinking, not just in terms of supporting a business, but also in terms of developing your own businesses. This is also about developing business that you're happy to collaborate with and to work with others. Yeah, we shouldn't be walking around thinking that, everybody's just a competitor. We should be thinking about, well, how do I collaborate? One of the things that I learned when I started to learn about business was this. Paul, you don't have to invent the perfect new product. What you can do is just look at products that are in demand, and you can add to your portfolio in that sense. So you don't look at, other companies necessarily as competitors. I look at the people who are in my market as well as people doing business in the same line of business. Yeah. But I have to tell us that one of the first things we need to do if we're going to build a legacy is by doing two things. One, supporting our own, and two, giving good, balanced criticism where good, balanced criticism is due. And from the business owner's point of view, the next step is ours. We have to take that criticism, take it as the knock it is, but live and grow and build from there, so that the next time that customer comes back, they can have a positive review to spin on things, and we continue to grow. We cannot, as business owners, we cannot ask for people's money, people's time, people's effort, if they're not getting good service in return. And good service is easy to come across. And I think the last thing I'd say, to reflect on something that Asari has said, which I've heard him say many times, I've said it many times, McDonald's is not the best food in the world. They are not, but they are kicking everybody based on process. Yeah, it's crap, but you know what you're getting. You know the speed at which you're getting. If tomorrow McDonald's customer service fell below the line, they'd go out of business instantly. Think about that. Not the quality of the food, because we all agree it ain't good. Yeah, it's their business process that's keeping them going. And as a small business where you are directly in charge, you have a great opportunity to influence and impact the customer service, the processes. Yeah, Junior said, go get yourself an accountant. Don't take this as a random thing. Make sure you have all of those things covered, because when the tax man comes for you, you can't say, boy, it's because there's a black business,
And I think, I'm sorry to cut you, but I think another word as well, Paul, to throw in there as well, you mentioned that, but it's consistency.
Yes.
Be consistent. So we may not offer the best service or the best product on the planet, but we're there, come rain or snow or sun or shine, we are there. We are there. My trucks are out every single day on the road. My trucks are out every day.
Yep. We shouldn't call on Dees and Dees say, I'm sorry, we're closed today Thursday because funeral. We got our virgin funeral. Yeah. And you laugh, but I know that there are certain businesses that their shutters are down certain days of the week. There's no answer phone to take the message. There's no, nothing to say to you that this business is still running unless you call back tomorrow and you find out the business is still there. Look, ladies and gentlemen, it's been great. I'm trying to put together another show for next week. Again, as I said, this show today was sponsored by Black History Walks, and I'm very, very pleased that they thought that the show was worthy of their sponsorship. The show is open for sponsorship, and when we do the replay, you'll see what that sponsorship buys, aside from just a mention from me, your glorious host. And you guys have a great week. Support the businesses. One last thing to everybody who's on this call. As usual, I need you guys to put your contact details in the topic that's been mentioned. You go to www.facebook.com/idleyardie. That's where the video is. The YouTube video will be up within the next 2 to 3 hours. And there's people in the topic who have been asking to make sure that they have your contact details for whatever reason. Carol, absolutely. In terms of that IT thing, we are in the IT space. I do something different from you, but it is a part of what I want to do for the broader consultancy in terms of where I want us to put. And while I'm on the air, let me just say, I work in the city and I see small businesses which were actually former employees coming back to these big businesses and selling them the same services that those businesses pay to train them to do.
Exactly. I mean, it's funny you should say that, because where I work at the moment, we're just losing people by the minute, because as soon as they're trained, they're gone and doubling their money straight away. I'm staying because it's a long story, and I'm not going to say it's because I'm black, but they took longer to train me, and I'm actually getting trained now. So I'm really rushing ahead to be able to fill that space that's missing in our black community. So,
all right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to continue this because we could be here forever. Yeah.
Write some peas calling now.
Huh?
Write some peas is calling.
Lord of mercy. Any gungo peas today? Now I'll red bean peas. Kidney beans. All right, I hear you. I get you. Yeah, we all about Asari. All right, guys. Thank you so much for this.
All right.